Everybody, welcome to the Village Guy. This is a show we chat to people of Paarl and Wellington doing amazing things, but we also thought we wanted to catch up a bit with people abroad. And one of those individuals is Xavier Lawrence. Currently, he is in Taiwan, and I wanted to find out more about what he's doing in Taiwan and just give us some info of what it is living there, bit of the culture, and then he's also got an exciting YouTube channel that we're going to chat a bit about. He does some fishing over there. It's called Project Angling. So we're just going to chat a few minutes to Xavier and find out what it is like and living in Taiwan and what he's doing there.
Jumper Waste Management is a Paarl-based waste management company offering a complete waste management solution. Their services include recycling, food waste composting, medical waste and hazardous waste safe disposal, as well as general waste management. The goal of Jumper Waste is to divert as much waste from landfill as possible and to assist clients with responsible disposal solutions. To find out more about their company, visit their website at www.jumperwaste.co.za.
Mr. Lawrence, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you, Miles. It's good to be here.
You just mentioned you had an earthquake. I mean, that's never ever happened in an interview before.
Yeah, listen, it's very sporadic. It's every now and then you kind of feel the building shake, and it's anywhere between like a 2 and a 4 on the Richter scale. So yeah, normally I just go check if the kid's fine mostly, but most of the time is no damage really. It's just a bit of movement under your feet.
So what's the rule when there's an earthquake? What's the rule? Must you stand between the doors, or what must you do?
Well, you just got to find cover, I guess. But most of the buildings here are apartments. So there is an exit plan, but most of it is stairs. So people try to live closer to the bottom than higher up in the building most of the time. So the higher up you go,
man.
the less you will pay for rent because your exit plan is a little different.
So Xavier, tell us what are you doing in Taiwan?
So I actually came over from South Africa about 7 years ago, going into 8 years now. And I came to teach, predominantly for teaching. And when I came, I told my parents, I was like, listen, I just want to go for a year to get out of South Africa, see a bit of the world, and see what the world has to offer. You know, the world is bigger than South Africa. So I came here with the mindset of only doing 1 year. And then all of a sudden, 1 year turned into 8 years. I mean, I'm going into my 8th year now. And I've been teaching chemical science now at Donga University. So I've been really, really busy.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And so what do you miss about South Africa? I mean, you've been there, 5 years? So what do you miss, except for the family and the friends, what do you miss the most?
I think I actually miss the social life.
Is
For everything, you get new friends, you make new friends from all over the show. But look, nothing beats a South African culture. I'm sorry. I enjoy most cultures. I have a lot of fun here. But you know, there's just the small things of South Africa that you really do miss. And I'm not talking about the electricity or anything like that. Just the social life.
Yeah, okay. So, but paint us a picture. What is it like living in Taiwan? So, of course, we started this type of series to catch up with people from Paarl living abroad. What is it like living in Taiwan? Culture, weather? I mean, you, of course, have natural disasters.
Oh, of course. Look, to be honest, Taiwan is a very close second to South Africa because there's such a big South African community out here anyway. But yeah, like weather-wise, it's very humid. It's a rainforest, so jungle. Wherever I go fishing, you know, it's just jungle. It's going through thick, dense forest. They receive like 200, I think it's 250 centimeters of rain. Am I right? Per year? Yes, 250 centimeters of rain per year, which is a lot. So most of the mountains are quite eroded, but there's a lot of vegetation. And the more south you go, the hotter it gets. So during summertime, it reaches 42, 43 degrees, and then it's still like 95% humidity. So it can get extremely hot here, extremely hot.
Yeah. And a bit of the culture, like what are the Taiwanese people like?
Oh, very lovely, lovely. I've had so many great interactions with Taiwanese people since I came here. Just to give you an example about the culture, the one thing that surprised me the most is the safety and the honesty here. Is I was 3 weeks in Taiwan, I think. The first week I arrived, just climatized to whatever the situation came about, work, etc., etc. And then second week, I tried to find a gym and I tried to find a rugby club. So during this mission, I was invited to go play some rugby out in Taipei. And obviously, I don't know the area very well. So I get some stuff from a 7-Eleven and I walk. But I have my wallet in my hand and I sit in the park to just quickly chow my banana and get my energy drink down. And in the process, I just forget my wallet on the seat. And I walk on because I'm like, oh, the rugby is going to start. I need to go. And I go to rugby. I practice with the guys. Late in the afternoon, we play a practice match. And now this is about almost 4.5 hours go by. And I get back to my bag to check for my train ticket to go back. And I'm like, oh, my wallet is not here. Where did I leave this wallet? And I was standing there for like 10 minutes, busy contemplating. And I'm panicking because, you know, my ID card is in there. My South African driver's license, everything's still in my wallet. And I was like, the only place I can think of is the 7-Eleven and that park. And the first place I will hit is the park, then the 7-Eleven. So I go to the park, and on the bench, 4.5 hours later, my wallet is still there, closed, just moved to the side because someone else was sitting there, because they know that you'll come and pick up your stuff again. And from that day, I was like, you know what, this country I really trust. You know, you can, and it's happened so many times. I've forgotten my keys in my motorcycle downstairs before. People will take it out, just put it in the box, like the cabbiole of the motorcycle, so that when you come, it's laying there. It's not out in the open in the rain, etc. So yeah, the honesty really, really gets me. That part of the culture is something that I really, really admire.
Awesome. So you were chatting about rugby. I mean, there are clubs in rugby?
Yeah. The rugby community is very big because of all the South Pacific countries. You get like countries like Hong Kong, Philippines, South Korea, China. They all have rugby under the Asia Rugby logo. They play under Asia Rugby, which is generally a tier 2 and tier 3 nations league. So to be honest, I played in most of these leagues, these Mayor Cups, and played for Taipei Baboons and played for the Saffers that were out here. It's a group of South African guys that had a team before COVID. And it was absolutely amazing. And the level of rugby is something close to Varsity Cup, maybe a little higher. Some of the teams can hold their own in that type of level. So because there's so many expats, the rugby has really developed a lot over the last 15 years, I would say.
Yeah. So we're playing every weekend. Or like, what are you? It's like a real league.
So in Asia, the big rugby game is normally the tens format. So guys like to focus on tens because you can get to travel around. So to give you perspective, is traveling from Taiwan or anywhere in Southeast Asia from one country to another, it's like going away for the weekend from Paarl to George. Yeah. You know, it's you book a flight. The flight costs you less than 2,000 Rand. You fly to the Philippines. You play rugby in the Philippines over the weekend and you fly back home. That's a return ticket. So it's really, really awesome. The environments are great. I mean, the beginning of September now, we just had the Taiwan Tens, where Taiwan's, the Taiwan Rugby Union, they hosted this event. And we were all taking part there. Tens tournaments, you have guys from Japan. And these are ex-national players that come and play. And so the environment is really, it's a development environment, making friends, learning about different cultures as well, and just building that rugby fraternity in Taiwan.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons also we started these conversations is that a lot of people have asked, how do you do the TEFL and become a teacher overseas? What route did you follow to be able to teach overseas?
So what I did, I just did my own personal research, and I am a qualified teacher. I certified by SACE. So my route is a little different because I could have applied directly from wherever I was in South Africa, directly to a school or a public school that is, or public university, etc. So if people do TEFL, they'll mostly fall into something that would be called a cram school, or in Chinese, they call it 补习班, which is after hours school. Okay. So where students will go and learn math and science, and obviously predominantly English as a after school subject.
Right. Okay, and so what are we doing to have fun? So I see we've got a nice YouTube channel, and you're busy angling and you're catching fish. I saw this weekend you were quite busy catching some actually quite big fish. Tell us a bit about this new hobby.
Well, so it's not actually a new hobby. It's been something that I've been doing since I was a young kid. But in Taiwan, I just have more access to it, and I'm closer to the ocean. I mean, the country is an island. So,
Yeah.
but the thing was just at one point, I was like, look, I can't do rugby all my life. There's going to be a time where I'm going to be like, all right, I've had enough. And
Yeah.
there needs to be something that will take up that time, because my hours, to just give you perspective, school year starts at 7:30 in the morning, and most schools close at 5. That is the academic hours, not even sport or anything like that. So that's the academic hours. So most students are not really even exposed to any type of sport. So
Yeah.
they only get to do sport when they get to university, really. And then obviously the fishing thing kind of becomes a something to gravitate to, because it's also part of their culture. So many people do the fishing. And I was busy just taking a stroll along the beach in the beginning when I got there, and I was like, hey, I can actually take up my fishing and take it more seriously here, because there's so many access points, and I just had a look at the amount of species you can catch here, and I was like, look,
Yeah.
I know enough about fish, and I know enough about my fishing. I might as well just start doing this. And lo and behold, the Taiwanese locals, they really embrace foreigners moving into the community, especially the fishing community. They always want to speak to you. They always want to try and help you out. And at the end of the day, I kind of worked my way through, I wouldn't say the ranks, but in the community, where you get more recognized, and people understand that, hey, I know that guy, I've seen him before. And this is actually where my fishing kind of took a step up, where I was invited out to actually speak to government officials down in the south about how they can try and assist their recreational fishing in a way that is more sustainable going forward.
Okay, cool. And your YouTube channel, are we getting nice engagement? People watching all your fishing trips?
Look, to be honest, my YouTube channel is more of just a hobby for me to kill time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I want people to just learn something. If you watch the video, I want people to learn, because there is this stereotype that people think China, Japan, Taiwan, the waters, there's no fish there, so they're fishing other waters. That is so far from the truth. There's some of the most pristine ecosystems out here in Taiwan. And the more to the east, the south and the east coast you go, the more pristine it gets. And I mean, you have the opportunity to even go, if you don't do fishing and diving is your thing, you can go dive with turtles in the south, and the turtles are really friendly. So people have this perception that there's no fish in the east, but listen, I know otherwise. And the sooner people start to realize that, the better, actually, because it will affect the sustainability going forward.
Yeah, 100%. So tell us, what's it like, dad of a 1-year-old in a new country? Do you still have more time fishing or less time fishing?
No, look, there's time for everything, you know. As soon as the kid came around, things slowed down a little bit. But at the moment, look, I couldn't have asked for a better kid. You know, is super sweet, does what he needs to do, is not a nagging baby. So yeah, the wife is really happy with him. So yeah, I still get my time for my rugby like I did last month, and I still have time for my fishing. It slows down a little bit, of course, because that's life, but there's time and place for everything, I suppose.
So tell us, what's the two? One, what is the funniest experience of being in a foreign country? And of course, has there ever been a scary experience of being in a foreign country?
I think let me start with the latter. I'll start with the scariest experience. The scariest experience was for me when I had to start thinking a little harder about job security after there were a bit of talk about China and Taiwan going to war, etc., etc. So I think that was the scariest one, because not only, if it was by myself, I just pick up my stuff and I leave, you know. But with having a wife and a kid here, I mean, you got to think for 2 more people, and you got to think of the safety of 2 more people. So yeah, I had a lot more documents and things to sort out during that time. But now that it's sorted, everything feels so much more safer, and I feel like our lives are more secure having those things in place. And then coming to the funniest one is, for some odd reason, people always just assume, since the start, they just assumed I could speak Chinese. So when they see me, they would speak Chinese, and I'll let them finish the conversation. And then I'll be like, well, I don't understand what you just said. And then they switch to English. So I'm like, well, why don't you switch to English from the beginning, you know? So that's one of the funniest ones. Is they always assume that I could speak Chinese fluently from the
Yeah.
start.
So, I mean, except for the earthquakes, I thought on the news you had typhoons also recently, like what, like Mother
Right.
Nature. Yeah,
So it's kind of a Murphy's law type of thing, going on here. It's like as soon as one typhoon comes, causes some damage, before you can repair anything, especially the guys that live on the East Coast, another one is coming. So just to give you perspective, the last typhoon before this year only happened like 4 years ago. I think it was 2019.
yeah,
So the people were all like, "Oh, when is the typhoons coming? We need water. And there was a time of drought in Taiwan, and Taiwan's a rainforest.
yeah,
So people were like, we need water. And there was sporadic rain. In rainforest, it normally rains in the evenings for a couple of hours and like super hard downpour. And then it stops, and then that water gets collected in the reservoirs, etc. But yeah, like the people were actually praying for typhoons to come. And finally, the typhoons actually came this year. There's been 3 already. Luckily, Taichung lays very close to the mountains. So the
yeah.
mountain breaks up most of that weather pattern. But we still get the strong wind. Like my first year here when it was super windy and a typhoon came through, I still remember seeing one of these no parking signs just go flying past my window as I opened the curtains. And I'm talking about winds like 180 to 200 kilometers per hour. So it's
Jeez.
with rain. So you can see nothing outside, really.
Yeah.
It's actually something to experience, but I really hope people don't get hurt in situations like these. But it's
Yeah.
really something to experience.
So, what does the next 3 months look for 2023 for Xavier? Is it coming to visit? What are you working? Do you have holiday?
Well, so we work in semesters here. It's not really four terms. We have a semester. So a semester lasts about I believe it's like 4.5 months. So in the next 2 weeks, the university and the high schools, etc., will start with their mid-semester exams. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be extremely busy. It's the busiest time of the semester, and the last 3 weeks of the end of the semester is normally my busiest times. Other than that, it's just teaching, getting to work, teaching. I've got about, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about 24 hours of teaching a week, which is relatively low compared to South African schools.
Yeah.
But the workload is still a lot. There's still admin that you need to do, and especially the type of subject that I teach, it's quite daunting, and there's a lot of grading involved, especially with the older students.
Yeah. And the kids, I mean, how are the Taiwanese kids? Are they like super intelligent? Like, of course, you always see these things on TV.
And you are not being told a lie there. Most of the kids are extremely intelligent, but most of it comes from social pressure. So to give you a dynamic, really, the culture here focuses a lot on education. Education is a core to every individual in Taiwan, and I guess that counts for Chinese people too. So the better the education for them, the better they would be. That is the perspective. So there are students that go to first grade, second grade, third grade, and only get home at 9 o'clock at night because that's the time their schools finish. So when they slot when their parents have work in America or Britain or in South Africa, and they slot into schools there, they fit in seamlessly, and they always tend to be in your top 5 of your grade, etc., because the workload here is just so great that they have no other choice but to perform, because the family pride is above everything else. So if they fail, they would feel like they're letting their family down. So most parents here want their kids to be engineers and chemists and doctors, and so the aspiration to be in these types of careers and these types of fields, the competition is rife. So when students go to a school and they are first in their grade, you need to understand that this kid's aggregate is above 100%.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, I mean, a pass, just to pass a test, as we would say, just passing in South Africa, like getting 50, some people are happy, But here, a pass when you go to university, pass is 80% or up. Anything below 80 is classified technically as a fail, a redo. My wife is a elementary school teacher. She teaches at a cram school, but with younger kids. And even at that young age, you already, the vast majority, I won't say all, but the vast majority already know where they're going in life, which is like mind-blowing, considering a 12, 13-year-old that knows their route, where they're going in life.
Yeah, and that, of course, puts a lot of pressure on you as a teacher, because now you need to give them the best that they're coming for.
right? So, and that's the other thing. So, many times you'll hear of schools, especially during COVID time, especially the cram schools that actually had to close their doors because if there's no students coming in during that time, there's no money being made, and no money is no salaries. So many
Yeah.
teachers actually left the country. So during COVID time, a lot of expats left Taiwan. I mean, they were looking for teachers just locally to kind of fill certain positions. At one point, they were extremely desperate, but I mean, now it's kind of fixed itself a little bit. But at one point, it was really dire. Like they were doing a lot to try and keep the teachers at the schools where they were at. If
Yeah.
some teachers plan to go back to their home country,
Awesome, man. Xavier, so we've got with every guest, we've got 10 this or that questions,
All
one
right,
answer questions. So I just have a few. I want to hear your answers. Kanye West or Drake?
Drake,
Apple or Samsung?
Apple,
Beyonce or Rihanna?
Rihanna,
Taylor Swift or Adele?
Adele.
Adele or Rihanna?
I'll go with Adele.
Okay, nice. Soccer or rugby?
Rugby for sure.
Movie or series?
I think it depends.
Explain.
I enjoy a good series
Okay, what are we
over a
watching?
movie.
What we watching?
Last of Us,
Oh, that's good. Podcast or music?
music.
Okay, what we listening to?
Tupac,
Okay, nice. City or country?
is that location wise?
Yeah,
If I could choose, I choose countryside for sure.
nice. Reality show or documentary?
Documentary,
What we watching?
something to do with nature, National
Okay,
Geographic type of documentaries.
David Attenborough.
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool. Can you do a gimmick of David Attenborough, just getting a crocodile out of the water?
Oh no, look, I can try, but it's gonna sound very South African, David Attenborough. I can say that.
Three people for supper, dead or alive.
3 people for supper, dead or alive. Nelson Mandela first. Couple of questions I would like to ask him.
Okay.
Who else? Martin Luther King.
Okay. You historical.
And then just one for fun, Michael Jackson.
Okay, cool. So what's the fondest childhood memory?
Fondest childhood memory is probably I think my fondest childhood memory I could I'll put it in a bubble for you. It's the time that kids could still be kids when we used to play cricket and soccer and touch rugby all in the street. And I spoke to my wife about this the other day. My fondest memory is just when cars come, you just pick up any crates or bricks you put down for the cricket and move it, and the car drives through. And people used to have a lot of patience for one another, And I think the thing that I actually miss the most is just being able to have that kind of liberty for kids to just go out. Because I mean, look in Taiwan, I see this every day. Is there's no real place for kids to play. Everything's an apartment, So you have to literally go to a park dedicated for playing, for kids to play, because everything is just overbuilt and there's a construction happening everywhere, all over the show. So my fondest memory is being able to play outside,
Yeah.
with or without shoes, dirty or being clean, just be home at 6 o'clock, or otherwise mother is coming to fetch you by the ear.
Or when the lights of the street lights go on, you have to run home.
Yeah, or we're playing cricket and they're calling you, hey, it's dinner time. You're like, Mom, it's a day and night game.
Yeah. Are you still
There
in
you go.
contact with some of your friends in South Africa that you grew up with?
Yeah, for sure. I still have I have a high school group on my WhatsApp where we all still stay in touch, It's like, and we spoke about this before. We're like, yes, to think all of us actually are relatively successful in what we are doing, where at one point the teacher thought, what is gonna happen to you lot, So I mean, we spoke about this the other day, and I mean, everybody's doing well for themselves. They're super happy. And it's just good to stay in touch. The guys told me the other day, they're like, yeah, we've been out of school for, I think they said like 15 years at the time. And I was like, yeah, take step on, time is
Yeah,
waiting for nobody. Some people have 2 kids, others have a kid, married, things
yeah,
happen. And when we finished school, we never realized, hey, what will we be doing at the age of 34?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
last 3 questions: if you win the lotto today, what you buying,
What am I
or what
buying?
you doing, or what you doing with it? Yeah, what's the first thing you're doing?
I'll buy a small holdings in South Africa or Namibia.
Okay. Oh, very good. What is on Xavier Lawrence's bucket list?
Uh, I want to visit at least 7 countries, 7 different countries on each continent, and excluding South Africa, moving into Africa, 7 different countries on each continent going forward. Maybe not, obviously, not Antarctica, but definitely in Asia. There are so many countries, so many different cultures. So 7 on my bucket list, 7 countries before I die.
Okay, and if the genie of the bottle granted you 3 wishes today, what would those 3 wishes be?
Peace and prosperity for everybody, That's the first one. Um, Wishing my child success in whatever he does, wherever he goes in life. And probably the last one is, I don't even know the last one. The last one, maybe. I like having, like, if you give me 3, that last one's always a spoiler, like with the Michael Jackson one, just a fun one. So maybe the last one is just to offer myself happiness in my marriage. That might be the last one.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, and then we're coming back to South Africa very soon. Or were you here recently? What's the plan?
No, I haven't been in South Africa since 2019. So my
Wow.
wife's family came over, and then just before we were going to come, COVID came, so they canceled our flights. So
Jeez.
that was the big spanner in the works. But yeah, I haven't been back since 2019. But the parents have been here, the in-laws have been here twice. So yeah, we're planning on 2024. But yes, fingers crossed. We have to see how things work out there, especially with the little one.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the long-term plan is it to come back to South Africa anytime for permanent working here, or just play it as it
Look, I
goes?
think my long term is currently, I'm very happy where I am at the moment. I know they say in life don't get content, but look, at the moment I'm very content, especially with a kid going to turn 1 year old in December. So I'm very content long term. I've stable job security. So I'm very happy in Taiwan. Starting up here is not easy, but once you
Yeah,
get into the motion of things after 3 or 4 years, uh, it gets easier. It gets
yeah,
easier. You learn the culture, you learn the system, and it's very difficult uprooting yourself and just going back to some other place. So I
yeah.
honestly see myself only retiring in South Africa or Namibia, for that matter.
Awesome, man. And so, what's the 2 things that every South African must do in Taiwan when they visit?
Yeah, 2 things South Africans must do is visit the
Exactly.
East Coast or the Southeast Coast to experience what true tropical life is like. Sitting on a beach, drinking out of a coconut, that you need to experience that for sure. And definitely go for the traditional Taiwanese dishes, because very few people know that Taiwanese people have their own, I would say, independent culture from the majority of the Chinese uh, sect. So they are
Mm,
Aborigines to Taiwan.
mm.
Um, so it's very, very different. And the further south you go, the more in contact you get with the Aborigine people.
Yeah. And I mean, lastly, what's the biggest culture shock for you coming from South Africa, getting into Taiwan?
I think the biggest culture shock was just the language, because there's
Mm,
no if you go to Germany, you can pick up some words as to what people are saying, but with Chinese, it's the total opposite. I mean, my wife had to go and study Chinese at the university for, I think, 2.5 years, and finally our Chinese has been picking up. So we can hold conversations, very basic conversations, and hold our own in a conversation setting,
mm.
understand what people are saying, but it's hands down the most difficult language to learn, especially when
Yeah.
you not in the school system, when you are learning it independently on the side.
Nice. Tell people where they can follow Project Angling and how can they follow you?
Oh, well, look, I'm on Instagram. You can follow me at Project Angling on Instagram, or you can look at the same handle, Project Angling, on YouTube. And if fishing is your thing, you guys can follow it. I don't post very often anymore, but when I do post, I try to put a storyline to my videos from the beginning of what happens, how we get there to at the end, and what we look at the moment. I'm even still just learning from the locals, trying to understand how they go about their own sustainability with the fish, etc. So yeah, it's a lot, but you know, the more you in that environment, the more you learn, the more you pick up. And even I give tips to these guys, and they actually appreciate it because it's something from a different perspective. Like if I can give you an example, if you have some time, is actually when I spoke to the government officials regarding the fishing, I actually explained to them about the garbage, because look, people here in Taiwan, people have a big love for plastic. So everything is wrapped in plastic. I mean, here's a very clear example. Just sticks is wrapped up in a plastic bag. So plastic is everywhere. And I was trying to explain to them that fishing line is even far worse, because it ends up in the ocean and you can't even see it. So we were explaining to them how to take PVC pipes and put it on the pier so that people can put all the offcuts into the PVC pipe. So when the recycling guys come, they can just collect all the line from the pipe at the bottom, put it in the trolley, and then scoot off. Because recycling here is a very, very big industry.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
and
So that's one of them.
what did the government officials say? Very good idea, Xavier.
Yeah, they kind of took my PPTs that I had at the seminar, and they sent it off to the university in the south to be checked what is feasible and what would not be feasible, for example. So as far as I know, the piers have gotten better in the south. I mean, it's not as trashy. They even put up gates with security guys there now. So things have gotten better. It's gone from strength to strength, actually.
Cool. Dude, it was so exciting talking to you.
Yes, it's always fun to speak to South African people. You can see I get into my element when I speak to South African people, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll keep on watching the project angling. I find it super interesting. It's nice to just see from other perspective how things are being done that side.
And I appreciate your support. And on the flip side, I can give that same thing back to you is keep doing what you're doing, man. Most of the young kids in Paarl, Wellington, the surrounding areas need this type of upliftment, you know, just a little bit of motivation that they don't get every day, because that might lift one or two kids out of the situation they are in. And keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing a really, really good job. And I'm probably not speaking for myself. I'm speaking for quite a few people. And I follow you very closely. Yeah.
A follow for a follow.
There you go. So I follow you from Taiwan. No matter if it's a 6-hour difference. I got your videos, boy.
Xavier, thanks so much for chatting, dude. Really, really exciting. Enjoy that side. And
thank you so much for speaking to me. Thanks. It was honor.
Cool. Thanks, Xavier. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paarl. Bye-bye, guys.